Are you learning English? Do you see some progress? Well, if you are gradually learning English, eventually you're going to speak fluently. Hey, I'm back with a new lesson. Well, are you learning English? Do you see some progress? Well, if you are gradually learning English, eventually you're going to speak fluently. Well, this is what today's lesson is about, the difference between the two common words, but I think they are a little confusing at times, gradually and eventually. Okay, first let's understand the meaning of gradually. Gradually means slowly, step by step, little by little, something that doesn't happen suddenly. Okay, so the opposite of suddenly is gradually. That means slowly, step by step. Okay, friends, so when things happen slowly, they take their own time. That means it happens gradually. Like this, gradually he learned to live alone. Now think of John, who's left his parents and gone to a new city to complete his education. So definitely he's away from home, and in a new city you don't make friends so soon. So he's a little bored, he feels lonely, but then with time, as time passes, he gradually learns to live alone. That means it's a slow process of accepting the fact that I have to live alone. Okay, but you do slowly. So as days pass, you get busy and you have less time to miss your family. Not that you don't miss them, but still it's a slow process of getting used to it. So I tell you, gradually, slowly. Okay, it's not like one fine morning he woke up and he said, okay, I no longer miss my family. No, gradually. So it's a very slow process. Gradually he learned to live alone. Okay, that means it took him time, okay, to live alone, but he did. Okay, my vocabulary is gradually increasing. That means step by step, probably you learn 2 new words every day, and by the end of the month you have a collection of 60 words. So slowly you increase your vocabulary. Well, friends, I'm sure watching Let's Talk lessons, your English is gradually improving now, right? Okay, so slowly you do improve. So gradually, step by step, right? You learn words, then you learn how to make sentences, then you learn how to make questions, you learn how to make negative sentences. It's a step-by-step process. You cannot wake up one fine morning and say, hey, I can speak English fluently. It doesn't happen like that, all right? So it's a gradual process. That means you are learning slowly or you are learning gradually, okay? Now, the young boy left his bicycle out in the rain for weeks, so it gradually began to rust. Okay, I've just got a word here, gradually began to rust. Okay, so now imagine a cycle that has been left out for what, 5-6 weeks, and then it slowly begins to rust, right? You leave it out in the rains, you do not clean it, you do not use it, so slowly, gradually it began to rust. So it's not like you wake up in the morning and you see the cycle full with rust. It is not so. It does not happen suddenly. So definitely slowly it starts, or it gradually began to rust. That means it was a slow process. So well, little by little, right, it began to rust. Well, after a huge or a bad phase of facing economic crisis, the economy is gradually getting better. Now you have these phases, the world faces this. You have you have economic crisis. So it's not that one day you wake up and then there is you feel, okay, wow, it's the economy has boomed overnight. It does not happen like that. It takes time. It's a cycle, right? What goes up has to come down and vice versa, and it's a gradual cycle. So it is gradually, slowly getting better. That means it's a slow process. It's consistent but slow, gradually. So step by step or little by little, the economy is getting better. Okay friends, so I hope the meaning and the usage of gradually is clear. Remember, it is the opposite of suddenly. Something that is slow, step by step or little by little is gradually. Okay, now we're going to take a look at how to use eventually. So well, eventually means ultimately, it means finally. Or sometimes we use it to say after a long time something happens. Okay, so that's like ultimately or finally. Okay, he will eventually take control of the company when his father retires. Okay, so right now his father is running the business, but when his father retires, he will eventually, ultimately, the end result of something, or you can say finally, he's going to take over the company. So that means he will eventually, at the end of something, the end result of something, the outcome of something. Okay, so use eventually. Now, eventually the world will run out of fossil fuel. Well, I won't be shocked if this happens soon. Eventually, ultimately, finally, the result, the end result of the way we are, the way we value our resources today, don't be surprised if eventually the world will run out of fossil fuel. Okay, that means ultimately this is going to happen, or this is going to be the end result of something. Okay, so maybe after a long period of time, or maybe after some time, this is going to happen. So you can use eventually when you want to say after some time something is going to happen, or after a long time, period of time, something is going to happen. Okay, she will eventually get married and have kids. Well, right now my friend Maria is single, happy, and she's working and she's doing very well at her job. But from what I see things, now she's not married yet, but it's a future projection. Here in the present, you look into the future and you think eventually this is going to happen. Okay, that means after some time, or after a long period of time. So well, here I'm going to put it down as a future projection. So she will eventually, or you will say, well, she will ultimately, or maybe some fine day, she will get married and have kids. Okay, well, so if I tell you, my nephew will eventually be a doctor someday, that means after a long period of time, or maybe finally he will be a doctor. Okay, so yes, he is a young boy now, but this is what he aims. So a future projection, he will eventually be a doctor. And well, one more example, exhaustion eventually took over Maria and she slept. Now exhaustion, fatigue, tiredness, eventually the end result was this. Or you can even say it finally took over her. Yeah, exhaustion eventually, finally took over Maria and she slept. So that was the end result of her exhaustion. Yeah, it takes over you. You can't do any more work. You're so tired, and well, you just fall asleep. Okay, friends? Well, so remember, when you use eventually, it means ultimately, finally, the end result of something, or maybe after a long period something happens. Okay, friends? Well, this brings me to the end of this lesson. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Well, I do have a test for you. Take it and let me know your scores. I'm going to be back soon. Till then, take care and bye.